Your workforce board is your connection to the workforce. And so we help businesses like yours identify and find and recruit and retain top talent so that you can grow. You can start your business, grow your business, and expand. And we serve the entire 6-county region in far west Texas. So I am really privileged to be here today. Thank you all. I see some really great friends in the audience and folks that I've worked with over the years. So thank you to the governor's office and Cindy and her team and Terry and Mary Helen over at the Hispanic Chamber for always including us and putting on such great events that give us an opportunity to have a really great dialogue and always keep the small businesses front of mind. So it is my pleasure now to introduce our panel of some really powerful individuals in the community. So I'm eager to hear from them and to ask them some questions that I think will benefit all of us. So if I can ask you all to introduce yourselves and describe to the audience your business and your industry and your typical customer. Ben, we'll start with you.
Thank you so much, Leila. My name is Ben Arriola. I'm president of Southwest University at El Paso. And describe my business in the industry. We are a trade university, a technical university. So we focus a lot, very heavily, on the healthcare industry. Everything from registered nurses to x-ray techs, health administrators. We also have a mechanical component. So from auto mechanics, diesel mechanics, welders, a little bit in the business field. And then also we have a culinary chef program also. So we try to really attract or provide workforce solutions to all of our businesses here in the community and make sure that we can prepare the right people for your businesses so you can continue to grow.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Barbara Armendariz. I am the general manager at Subaru El Paso. Subaru, it's a automotive retail industry that we're in. And what we provide for our customers is good customer service. We are owned by Group 1 Automotive, which is based out of Houston. I have the pleasure of today having David Fesmar, which is our market regional manager in from Houston. And we're very grateful that we are able to provide so much to our community.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Omar Veliz. I'm the president of Veliz Construction. We're a general contractor. We're based here in El Paso. We have an office in Austin. We do work in southern New Mexico, El Paso, West Texas, actually all over Texas. We're a small company, but we do work in Dallas, the Valley, McAllen. Right now, I would say 80% of the customers that we have are within the government, probably 20 to 10% the private sector. And of the government customers that we have, I would say 1/3 is with the municipalities, 1/3 with the state of Texas, and 1/3 with the federal government. When I started, that mix of customers was a little bit different, but again, due to market conditions, that changed to what we're doing right now.
Very good, thank you. Welcome. So one of the closing remarks from the previous panel that I heard from the audience, someone said, the workforce is not the same. So I thought it was a great segue into this conversation. So Ben, I'm gonna ask you the first question. First off, as the educator on the panel, what types of occupations is Southwest University teaching for high demand in the near future, maybe the next 2 to 5 years that you've received some feedback from the community?
Of course. Well, our typical customer, our student, is between 24 to 32 years old. They're an individual who either is struggling to get into a career rather than a job, or they find themselves that they're stuck at a certain level and they want to really advance in that career or go into a specialty within that career. So healthcare is a great example of one of those fields where somebody might be working in a clerical position and realize that their passion is helping people and they do want to be a nurse and they want to work in a hospital setting. So our goal is really to help those individuals. Healthcare is also the field that we see exploding and the need continuing to be huge across the whole country, not just our community. The reality is that the pandemic, COVID, really pushed our healthcare structure to our, the very limits that we could take. And we ended up losing a lot of people in that workforce because of burnout, stress out, and the capacity needed to grow also. So we see that market really being huge in demand the next 10 years. Obviously, the more specialized you are, the more there is a need. So doctors are specialty doctors, surgeons, there's huge needs for that, but also for nurses, x-ray techs, sonographers, health administrators, laboratory techs, surgical techs. I mean, it's a huge spectrum of what's going to be needed out there. And as we see more facilities, hospitals, clinics open, I just don't see an end to it. The other, I think, segment that's very important here in El Paso is transportation. There is so much freight being moved. So we anticipate the trade industry, whether that be transportation through trains, vans, semi-trucks, but we're gonna need mechanics, we're gonna need welders, we're gonna need technical people who can, again, work in the blue-collar trades traditionally, where we really have had a lag of people enter that field. I'm sure you would agree that both of you, to hire capable technicians in any field right now is harder than ever. It's more expensive than ever. And to keep them on board is even harder than ever also. So those are the areas that we see, dramatic opportunities and needs for the community, and where we really encourage people to seek employment and further their education.
Thank you. And those are very diverse occupations and diverse skill sets. But now shifting gears, Ben, as the employer at Southwest University, what have been some of the adjustments that you've made to retain and attract top talent?
Being, like you just mentioned, we have such a diverse program offering to students, that also means we have a very diverse workforce. So we've really had to treat every segment within that as its own little business. To give you an example, for our nursing professors and faculty, we require them obviously to have master's degrees, if not PhDs. And to be able to attract them and retain them, we've had to institute signing bonuses and retention bonuses to be comparable and competitive with the hospital industry. In the automotive industry, with the technicians and our mechanics, we've had to increase our pay drastically in the last 3 or 4 years to be able to be competitive. So in every segment, what we see is there's different needs and different needs that the people want filled, different personalities, different type of drives, and we've had to adjust our salary basis and be very flexible to what that segment needs to be attracted to come with us.
Thank you. Barbara, what adjustments have you made to attract and retain top talent?
The ability to be flexible with the work schedule. Our technicians, our advisors, and even our salespeople are now on a 4-10 schedule. So having that flexibility to make sure that they come to work and they're happy, because if you have happy employees, you have happy customers. So the fact that being flexible, especially having a mother that has kids and making adjustments to their hours so they're able to take the kids to work to school in the morning and being able to make it work. But the flexibility in hours, of course, like Ben said, our technicians being competitive as far as pay is concerned, and keeping them. What we do also is always train and promote from within, because if you do that, they are more adaptable to come to work knowing that they're going to grow with the company, they're going to grow themselves, and we have a lot of our employees that are proving fact about that they have grown with the company, and they came from other industries. They didn't, just come into the sales business or automotive business. They all have been in other related industries, or non-related industries, I should say, and they've taken control, and they just work hard and do the right thing. And that's one thing, to do the right thing and work with integrity. But recognition is huge. That's something that we've implemented. We have it on a monthly basis where we recognize top performers. And if you recognize your employees and make sure that they are awarded and recognized for what the talents they've done and the accomplishments that they've done, is huge as well. So that's a big thing for retainment.
Thank you. Omar?
Yeah, so after COVID, everybody wants to work from home. But we're a construction company, so sometimes that's not possible. So we need to make that adjustment on how flexible we are with that schedule without diminishing the customer support to the field personnel. So we have some flexibility with the positions in which we can afford that flexibility. For the field personnel, that they need to be 100% all the time at the job site. The challenge with that is that how are you going to maintain the culture of the company? Because you're going to have people working from home. You won't have that interaction. And you would have people working all the time at the field. So you need to use the technology. In our case, if you add that we're working on multiple locations, how are you going to keep that culture throughout the company? The same culture that we have here in El Paso, the same. I want to replicate that culture in Austin, or if we're working remotely on another place. So we need to use the technology. We need to stay engaged using that technology. We encourage or have weekly meetings with the entire team so we can discuss some of the things happening within the company to promote that culture, to make sure that we're pointing in the same direction or moving in the same direction. Someone asked, how do you measure the performance of that team that is working remotely? So again, we had to adapt using technology to be able to measure those the productivity, the performance, and establish clear goals using the different softwares and technology.
Thank you. That cohesiveness is certainly very important across multi-site businesses especially. And that's a really good segue into the next question. And we'll start with you, Omar, because you mentioned it. Are there skills that are now more valuable post-COVID than perhaps before, that maybe we just all kind of didn't, maybe took a little bit for granted, such as digital skills, automation, even multitasking, after COVID is a little bit different than it was. So are there skills now that you are seeking that are more important?
In my opinion, COVID just accelerated big time the skills that we've been mentioning for years. Being able to use technology, for instance. COVID just accelerated that. And that's happening big time in construction at the field level. If you have someone running a project, for instance, a superintendent that is not comfortable using portable devices, the phone, the tablet, that person is going to have a hard time doing his or her job, and he's going to have a hard time growing in his field. Now, in construction again, talking just about the field aspect of construction. A lot of things are happening, digital technology, drones, 3D. The other day I was at a technology conference, a construction technology conference, and they were talking about a digital twin.
Yes.
What the heck is a digital twin? And basically it's just a computer model that you build and you play with that building that you constructed digitally. And I'm not there yet, but eventually the industry is going to move forward. But if going back to the using some basic technology, if that person is having a hard time using a laptop or an iPad to look at the drawings, he's never going to be able to jump into the digital twin, right, in this case.
That's right. Thank you. Ben and Barbara, what are those skills that you have found in your staff that you think are most critical? And are you finding your new workforce or people that are wanting to come and work for you that are seeking out, especially the use of technology in your business?
In our case, technology is key. Communication is key. Before COVID, we had vehicles that you could walk the customer on the lot and go and pick and choose whatever vehicle you wanted. During COVID, unfortunately, the lack of inventory made everyone aware of, how much communication is so important, because the only way to communicate with the customer was really by texting or sending an email or sending a video of the vehicle. Technology is so advanced now. Now that we have the vehicles, it's crucial that everybody keeps that communication going with customers, because it's all about speed. It's all about communication. But what we're relating to the customer about a vehicle. Video utilization in our service department, you literally take our vehicle to the service department and you get a video of what's wrong with the vehicle. One, it adds value to what you're saying, what is wrong with the vehicle, and then two, you know that someone is actually looking at your vehicle and giving you the correct information. So with the technology, as far as video, texting, and communicating by email is really crucial in our industry.
I would agree with both of the previous panelists in that it's really a change or a bigger need in technology and communication. One of the things that it hasn't changed, but it just seemed maybe we took it a little bit more for granted, was interpersonal skills, was customer service. So we almost see ourselves trying to go back to the basics and making sure that we add people to our staff that can have empathy, show warmth to our customers and to each other, and really emphasize our culture throughout our staff. Our whole idea is that we want to teach you, hands-on procedures. We want to teach you how to, draw blood, how to use different, tools and wrenches. But that all requires human interaction. As much as we want to push, for efficiency, for cost efficiency, time efficiency, resource efficiency, we want to push things online and we want to make things more automated. It also comes down to us, that personal touch and that ability to connect, to understand what our customer wants, what are their fears, what do they want, what are they trying to achieve. And that gets harder and harder. And I think we took that for granted before. So I think it's, for us, one of the big things is we can teach you the skills if you have the right attitude. But part of the right attitude is wanting to be there for your customer, helping your customer. And we're trying to teach that to our students. It's not enough just to know the anatomy or know how to work a machine or fix a certain transmission or operate a computer. You also have to be able to be part of that culture, provide good customer service, be a part of a team, work as a team, communicate with other individuals, understand how to work within an organization and have professional communication. And that seems harder than ever, especially the professional communication. I think our writing skills and our ability to document things is challenged severely right now. So that's an area for all of us to improve, probably.
Thank you. Any other input from the panelists on the foundational skills, aside from the tools that, the actual hard technical skills, but those foundational skills that you get from an attitude or from culture, and how have you, drawn those things out of your staff and of your employees and your future workforce? How do you find that fit?
You mentioned communication. You mentioned communication skills, written and verbal communication. They're critical. They're critical. I would expand that to the soft skills. Those are critical. Those are critical in my industry. And again, we've been talking about the AI. Vaughn had a very good point regarding the AI. It's a tool, it's a technology that we don't fully understand the impact that AI is going to have in our industry. I know that there are some companies, for instance, using AI to review their contracts. And you can expedite that process, getting feedback on some classes on the contracts that you have. But AI is going to get to a point, and at that point, you're going to need the human interaction. You're going to need the soft skills. Who's going to negotiate the points that the software is telling you or AI is telling you regarding that contract? What are the weaknesses in that contract? You're going to have the soft skills, the communication skills to be able to negotiate with another person, not with a computer or the cloud.
Right. Critical thinking skills.
Critical
That's
thinking
right.
skills.
Yes, thank you. Barbara, anything to add on that?
In my case, what is key with employees is goal setting. You have to make sure that your employees have goals. If you have an employee that you're pushing them to do something and they absolutely don't want to do it, then it's not going to work. Goal setting is huge. I have them put it in writing so that they can accomplish their goals. And at the end of the year, they review their own goals of what they hit and what they didn't do. And especially in my case, being a woman in the car industry, I really pushed some of my girls in the workplace to do whatever they desire to do, but having goals is critical.
All right, very good. So we'll move on to the next question, and this is going to go back to Omar. And this is a pretty big question because I want to kind of package this up. Being in the construction industry, are many of your positions project-based, meaning that not everybody is going to be, full-time staff? Like you mentioned, a lot of your customers are government, and those are projects that are let out project by project. So which types of, how do you balance that with some of your workforce perhaps being steady full-time, but then others that rotate?
Yeah, good question. Good question. That's one of the main challenges that I have as a business owner. We know that construction is very cyclical, very cyclical. And eventually you're going to lose people, and then eventually you're going to be struggling to hire people. The best thing that you can do as a business owner or as an individual is to have that flexibility, adaptability in being able to do multiple roles. But let me give you an example. If I have a project manager that is able to work as a superintendent when things slow down at the office, or a superintendent that is able to work as an estimator or support the estimating department, or if I have a carpenter that is able to do surveying or equipment operator, that's fantastic. That's job security for that person, for that individual. So we encourage that, but that's something that the individual can do to have a job security.
That's right. Very good point. And are you all finding that regardless of the industry, like a cyclical industry, and I've certainly experienced this as an employer as well, is tenure is not what it used to be. Employees are not staying with the company or an organization like they used to. 5-10 years out, we're looking at right now maybe 2 to 3 years, and then individuals are, and that's not necessarily reflection of a bad culture. It's just, I think, a more of a of the workforce itself being a little bit more wanting to try different jobs and experiences. But how do you all, Ben and Barbara, adapt to that rotation?
I definitely agree with you that times have changed from being able to keep employees with you long term and having people with you. They can really help develop and keep the culture. I can tell you that before the pandemic, our retention or our turnover rate was anywhere between 3 to 5% in 1 year. So out of 200 employees, maybe we'd lose 10, either by their choice or our choice. During the pandemic, that probably went into the 20-25%.
Right.
All of a sudden, people were jumping ship on a weekly basis. You'd hire somebody, they'd never even show up. You'd try to do 5 interviews, maybe 2 would show up. I mean, it was just very, very difficult to get people to join your organization, and then to actually retain them. There seemed to be no loyalty. I think it's given us the opportunity at the university to really be able to key in on key positions and key individuals, and making sure that those positions are filled with individuals that we see with us long term. I think it requires a lot of communication, like Barbara was mentioning, with what is their goals, what do they want to achieve, what fills their desires and their passion. So many times as a business, we see a key employee and we know they're great at something and we have a need, and let's just put them there. But are they gonna like it? Is that gonna enrich them? Is that gonna fulfill what they want? Somebody that really is an introvert, yes, they can work and they could be successful in the sales department. It doesn't mean they're gonna be happy. And it doesn't matter how much they're making anymore. If they're not happy, they're gonna leave. So I think a lot of it is understanding the psychology and the emotional needs that our key people and key positions require, and making sure that at least we have stability there. The rest can kind of be filled out, and if we have those right people, they'll make sure that the new people adopt our culture and our practices and our philosophy. But if we don't have those positions filled, then it's huge issues when we lose somebody.
Excellent insight. Thank you, Barbara.
One thing that's really important is the willingness to learn. That they want to, accomplish whatever they want to do. They want to learn, to be in the service drive, and they want to learn to be selling cars, whatever. They got to have that willingness to learn and resilience. Resilience is really important because we've had several employees that they'll do great in the service department, and then we put them into sales, and it's just like he said, if they're introverts, they're not going to do what they were doing in the service department. So just having that ability and having an outstanding attitude as well, that's key.
Very good. Omar, you mentioned earlier that you have business in other markets. So that's a really great point to talk to the audience, especially those that have business in other markets or are looking to expand into other markets. The workforces are very different amongst those communities. What is some advice and some experience that you can share with the group about how exactly you tap into those markets and maximize them?
Good question. Good question. We're doing most of the work here in Texas, and we're being blessed here in Texas because we have work. The economy is good here in Texas. We have some challenges with that, but what I'm seeing is that the El Paso market, it's very different than, for instance, the Austin market. Very different markets, very different expectations from the workforce. Another area where we work is in Fort Davis, the Midland, Odessa area. Very different market than El Paso. In Austin, everybody expects to work from home. And again, you need to have some flexibility in that regard. You need to keep the consistency of your company, the culture of the company. In Austin, everybody expects salaries that are not realistic with the market or with the skill set. Again, you need to have some limits to what you offer in those markets. Yes, you're going to offer based on the market, but you need to be aligned with your culture, with your company, and what the market it's offering. When I just moved to Austin, I was a little bit shocked because first with the salaries that we were paying there. I didn't see the skill sets reflecting what that person wanted. We agreed to a salary. I wasn't too happy with that. That person signed the offer. That person never showed up. Never. And that happened to me multiple times. In talking with different business owners or other companies, I was not the only one. I was a little bit depressed because that happened to me, but I realized that's something that it's happening with other companies. So you need to be super careful in those markets. Make sure that you're bringing someone that is aligned with the culture. Make sure that you're reacting to the market, but without sacrificing the culture and the goals and where you're going as a company.
Very good insight. So I'll ask each of the panelists here, as you've, one of the other things that I talked about this morning is, that I was talking to one of my peers about, is those individuals that you've identified as like critical to running your business. You rely on those, certain positions or occupations, and you just need to they might have a lot of years with you and they have helped you build that business, but how do you remain always prepared? Like never get surprised, trust but verify, even with your most loyal employees, what are some of the things that you can share, maybe like a lesson learned on how to avoid some pitfalls or some things that maybe you took for granted from some of your most critical positions?
You know, I think one of the keys for me in the way I manage is like you say, trust but verify. But it's also, I know what I expect the answer to be before I ask the question. So when I get the answer back, or I look at the results, or I look at the report, and it's not what I expect, right away I say, okay, what's going on? Well, am I the one that's off, and maybe my expectations are just out, out of reality, or is someone under delivering? Is someone underperforming? Is some potential fraud going on? You really just try to, I think for myself, know what do I expect so that I'm not caught off surprise. And if I am surprised, it's something that really drives my attention and my time also. I can't think of a specific issue. Yeah, I'll tell you what. One of the hard things I think for any business and any leader is having employees that aren't in the home office, but the majority of your employees are in the home office. So all of a sudden, you have to trust that this person's outside doing outside sales, doing outside events, outside project management, and you just don't know. You really don't know if you don't have the right systems. We've been caught several times by not having the right technology, especially maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago, finding out that really the person was maybe working 1 or 2 hours a day, maybe 5 or 10 hours a week if we were lucky. They would not show up, they would miss appointments, and we just wouldn't find out. It would take us 6 to months to a year to really realize that this person wasn't performing, they weren't doing their job. And I think that's where we've gotten stronger with technology and making sure that that communication, whether it be through Zoom, Teams, Salesforce, that we expect daily interactions, daily reports, daily goals, daily performance. And I think that was our weakness before. And we just had to, again, not wait for the answer, but ask for it. Also, automating the reports. I think using a CRM where you can actually get the information before you even ask it. And you have certain reports every day at 7 a.m., 7:15, 7:30. It allows you to look at it, and within 10 to 15 seconds, know if you move on to the next report or if you really want to dive in. So I think one of the errors we make is not automating enough stuff, especially the stuff that we just want to review to verify what's going on. That's made us stronger. And like Omar also said, I think the COVID took us 10 years ahead of schedule in technology, and that's what we had to learn with so many people off our campus, really.
Very good. Barbara?
A big thing for us, or for me, would be empowerment. Make sure that your employees know that they are empowered to, 1, take care of the customer, and 2, in an automotive dealership, safety is a big issue. So they all know that safety is a thing not only for our employees, but for our customers as well. But empowerment and knowing that your employees feel comfortable with making a decision, and the worst thing that can happen is, something safe not happening. But, empower your people and make sure that they know that you have their back and that someone's going to make a mistake. But that's how we learn, is from our mistakes. And these are the things that the great thing about working for the company we work for is having structure and having accountability and integrity. But empowerment is huge.
Very good. Thank you. Omar?
So the question is how you're always preparing and you're not surprised. Good answers. I agree with everything that you guys said. I would add that you two things that you need to have a core group within your organization. You're going to have challenges. It's not that you might have challenges. You will have challenges. Sometimes they're going to be huge challenges. But if you try to do everything by yourself, it's going to be unbearable. I've been blessed with a great core team, and some of them are here. Been blessed with a great wife. She works at the company, and we still have a loving relationship. But you need to rely on your team. You need to be able to work as a team player, being able to be humble, being able to ask for help. There have been challenging times for me, and my motivation is the support that I have from my team. That's what keeps me going. And also, you need to realize that you're going to lose people. That's the nature of the business. You were saying that people tend to stay less within companies. That's happening everywhere. So you're going to lose people. And I think Jack Welch mentioned this, and this is my personal philosophy as well, that you treat people in the same way that you treat it on the way out as you treat them on the way out. If they're leaving and you're unable to retain them, you try for them to have a smooth transition where they're going, so they can live with a good taste in their mouth, and vice versa. That the company remembers that the team member that departs with a good taste in their mouth.
Experience.
Yeah,
Right.
good experience.
Ben, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I would also add that I think, just like Omar said, we have to be realistic. People leave. I think it also makes us or forces us to always know what the plan B is. If we don't have a plan B for every position in the organization, including our own, we're setting ourselves up for failure, and we're not being honest and loyal to the business or to the organization. People have a right to, decide they want to do something else in their life, or have a baby, or have a health issue, or go on a prolonged vacation. Things happen in life sometimes out of everyone's control that we just can't predict. And if you're reacting once it happened, you're already late. You need to know what you're going to do 2 or 3 steps ahead, just like I imagine that we all do with our vendors and our customers. We can't rely on one vendor. You have to know who your backup is, because you're stuck with whatever they decide to do. Now you're held hostage. Same thing with a customer. If you don't know who your backup customer is going to be, you're already too late. So I think with employees, we really have to be a little bit, almost like prepare for the worst and hope for the best. But if you're not preparing for it and you're not ready for your most important person to leave, then you're saying you're not being honest and loyal to your business.
Very good. Excellent. And that leads me to the last question before we ask questions from the audience. Thinking back and reflecting on when you were starting your business, you were very much in it. You know every single piece of the technicalities and the layers that go into your business. But now you're looking at it from a very different perspective. You're looking at the entire organization and all of the dynamics. That shift, especially for the small businesses in the room, from knowing and being the subject matter expert on whatever that service is, to now running an organization and having that perspective, what is the advice that you can give to your peers in the audience of how to manage your organization from that level and not staying too into the weeds? Making that transition to a leader.
Set expectations. Put it in writing. Job descriptions are key, but setting expectations is really important.
Okay, very good.
I would say establish long-term relationships, internally and externally. Establishing long-term relationships with subcontractors, establishing long-term relationships, hopefully, within the people that work at the company, establishing long-term relationships in the community, establishing long-term relationships with your lawyer, with your banker, with your CPA firm. That's critical. When I started the company years back, 12 years, I attended a similar event hosted by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And I've been active with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce for years, and they've been great. They're one of my long-term partners. Every time that I have a question or challenge, I just pick up the phone and talk with someone at the Chamber of Commerce. So those are the partnerships that you want to develop. You need to rely on those partners.
Okay, very good. Ben?
And I would say that for us, it's very critical, or it's been very important to us to develop a culture where we can really be honest with each other. And that includes them being honest with me. I cannot see 360 degrees. I only see what's in front of me. And I'm biased by my experience and by my expectations. And having key people who have the confidence to be able to say, I disagree with you because of this, or you're not considering this factor, allows me to maybe be a little bit more risque and take bigger risks because I know that if I'm not seeing something, my team's gonna have the relationship with me to call me out and explain something to me that I might not want to hear, but that's the truth. Ultimately, it's my decision, but they allow me to see the part that I can't see myself. And again, they allow me to be able to be a lot more freer on my decision making and my thought process.
Very good. The really fantastic insight from three very different business leaders, and I appreciate that. It's been really helpful for me as well. So we will open it up to the audience if anybody has any questions. So we're going to steal this mic. Does anybody have any questions for the panel?
So as a small business, you're starting off, especially for Omar, since you started your own company and you guys kind of walked into a company that was already built. When you're starting off, how do you delegate? How do you start to let go? And what responsibilities do you let go of first that have the biggest impact on your business and your state of mind?
First, you develop your organizational chart. And again, everybody would have a different vision of what the organizational chart should look like in your business. That's the first step, and then you develop your mission, your vision, and some job descriptions. The first, in my opinion, area where you need to delegate, it's accounting and finance. You need to be aware of the numbers of the company. Delegating doesn't mean neglecting. So you need to understand your numbers, and then you start from there. As you're growing, you start delegating more and more responsibilities.
There's another question.
Hi, my question is based upon the workforce that's coming into the age gap. We talked about earlier with younger folks. I've read a statistics that said that nowadays they jump careers and jobs within like 10 jobs to kind of find out where they fit. And I wanted to know what specific mental health or burnout and employee loyalty strategies do you have in place? Because burnout is real. And now that people have taken on more hats to be more job secure, you're putting more work on them, and they have to pivot very quickly in order to become, integral to the business. So being that we're putting on more work on the workforce because maybe you can't hire or there are no people with the skill sets, how are you dealing with that and making sure that they're not burning out and dropping out altogether?
Does anybody want to jump on that?
Yeah, mental health, it's a big issue in construction. I think we have the second suicide rate in the nation, the construction industry. So it's huge. Almost everyone that is in the industry knows someone that died because of self-inflicted wound. So it's a big issue. What is the first step that we need to do to address mental health, burnout, and stress? Remove the stigma of mental health. Talk about the mental health. Talk about the stress. Talk about different techniques to deal with the stress. Make sure that you're in tune with your team regarding mental health. It's real. It's real. Very real. Again, just sharing a little bit of my personal experience. One of my trade partners had a suicide this year. The year before, they had a suicide in their team. So it's a huge impact for that company.
Yes.
So that's the first step that I would take. Remove the stigma of mental health and make sure that you have that you feel comfortable talking about the mental health and the issues and the challenges and sharing experiences.
Very good. Thank you. Ben, did you want to add?
Yeah, I would say that it goes back also to understanding what are the wants and the needs of that individual. I still think that we, as human beings, have a need to belong to something. We want to belong. We want to feel a part of something. I think that's why people are so challenged to stay somewhere, because the minute they feel disconnected, they leave. They figure it's just a wrong place for them, and they jump around, and it's just so easy for them to transition that they're not worried about if I don't get another job. They're more worried with what if I don't belong. So I think part of that also is understanding, who are you? Who do you want to be? What are your values? What are your beliefs? Who are you the right fit for? Just like there's a right customer for you and there's a customer where you're not the best choice, that's the same thing for the employees, I think. There's employees that are looking for what we offer. We offer a family environment. We offer a very warm place. We offer, a place where people will talk a lot, and there's a lot of social events, and there's a lot of extra events. Some people hate that. They want to come in, they want to leave, they want to interact as little as possible with other people, and good for them. They're not going to fit in with us because they're going to feel always overwhelmed, and they're going to feel like they are forced to do something that doesn't make them happy. So know who you are. Try to interview for those skills and those type of personalities also. We've used personality exams for a long time to try to make sure that they're a right fit for our overall culture, but also for that specific team. You cannot treat the sales team the same as you would the finance or the accounting team, because they have totally different needs. But you want to make sure that whoever you add to that team is going to enrich it. You can't have everyone the same. You want some diversity in personalities, experience, backgrounds, but you also have to make sure that whatever you're adding to that team is what that team you feel needs. So that would be my observation.
I agree, and I want to add to that as well as a perspective as an employer, reflecting on who you are as an organization and then communicating that at the onset. So we utilize our job postings as, we recruit, but it's very important to me as an employer to be as transparent about who we are, what to expect. If it is going to be a fast-paced environment, you are going to be multitasking. But we are seeking those individuals, and we want those individuals that don't want to multitask, don't like a fast-paced environment, to not apply. This is not the organization, and that's okay. But full transparency to decide whether they even want to apply and be a part of it. And then throughout that process, have multiple ways to engage them. The application is that first screen. We do an assessment as well. We sometimes ask written questions, and every single one of those, we get a sense of whether people want to work for us or not. If we send out a written questionnaire to 20 people, maybe 10 will respond. The other 10 have said, that's not who we want to work for. That's totally fine, right? So what I don't want is for anybody to start with us and then a weekend be surprised. Oh, I didn't know we needed to do this, or I didn't know I needed to do that. That's not good, and you're starting off on the wrong foot. So the more that you can know about yourself and communicate that and describe and give a window into your organization and really what your values are, the better. We at Workforce, we do this. We just did this exercise recently, the last time we did this was in 2021, and we did it virtually, where we went through. I was relatively new to the organization, so I wanted to establish our organizational values. So as we looked this year, we have had a major turnover in our organization. So we put that list of values out, and we did an exercise, and we found that those are not necessarily our values anymore. They're different. They evolve. So that values document that you might have, when was the last time you really evaluated? They might be yours, but is that your organization's values? And we went through this exercise and collaboratively and sought input from everybody. Exactly what do we expect of those values? And so now, and we were really honest, and I want to share that we made a list of some that we know are already our core values, and others that we would want, but we need to work on them. We want to be this or we want to be that. We're not there yet, but it's going to take this for us to work on that. That exercise, that type of exercise, lets our workforce know that we are very open and collaborative and hearing them out, and that they participate. And then we also, support them and we hear them out. So I think that creates an environment that you can then build from. So any other questions? All right.
This question is geared towards Ben. In the professional education side, in the medical field, they talk about people in the field needing continuing education credits. Well, what about for people that are teaching for you on, they're longer than 2 years? Is there like a continuing experience side, say like partnering with local hospitals to push your staff down so they can stay current on like current medical techniques and things like that instead of getting stagnant in the education field?
Really, it depends on every one of the career fields that we offer. Obviously, if you're talking about nursing, they have certain requirements to keep their licensure with the state. So we follow those rules. Plus, on top of that, we have certain requirements that we're required by the federal government to also provide, whether that be skills to enhance their teaching abilities and also skills to enhance their professional abilities. So we almost look at it as a multi-layer, and it really depends also on what does the state require, what does the federal government require, what does the actual registry or association that they belong to require also, and what is it that our students require them to continue to learn. We also try to be very engaged with our advisory boards. So every one of our careers has between a 3 to 7% advisory board, and they're experts in the field. And that's exactly what we ask them. What's happening? What's changing? What new technologies? What new procedures? What do we need to add? What are our students strong? Where are they weak? And based on that feedback, we also decide what we need to do, not just at the instructor level, but also at the program director, dean, and vice dean level. What are the new things we need to learn? Whether it's, again, technologies, procedures, manuals, but it definitely is a constant project. And we have people dedicated to helping every instructor build their yearly plan. And based on if they're able to complete their yearly plan or not, which they have to stay with us, they receive incentives, financial incentives that reimburse them for any costs that they were associated with that, and also a benefit to entice them to get it done earlier, because we'd rather they get it done in June than in December. But it is something that also helps us find out who belongs with us and who wants to stay and who really doesn't. If they're not willing to continue to learn, there's just not a lot of room for them with us.
Thank you. We have time for one more question.
Yeah, one quick question.
Again, this question again is for Ben and related to the local business environment here we have in El Paso. With your graduates, would you say that we still have somewhat of a brain drain? Once they graduate, do you have some sort of retention rate of how many of your graduates actually stay in town or pursue opportunities elsewhere? And what could the city or business community here do regarding quality of life issues to, again, keep people in town? Because I've seen so many different quality people get trained, do a wonderful job, and then get stolen from here. So I'm just curious to see if you have any data.
Yeah, I can tell you that it really depends based on the actual career field and the actual market across the region or the country. A couple of years ago, our mechanics and welders were going all to Odessa and Midland. And it was the benefits and the salaries were so high, 3 times what they were paying here, that it was just an incentive that they could not pass up. Same thing with the traveling nurses. A couple of years ago with COVID, they were getting $120 an hour to go somewhere else and work there for 6 months. So the market really plays a huge role in that. I think that we've done tremendous progress in upgrading what we have in El Paso, what we have to offer, the entertainment, the experiences available here. I think there's still more room, but I think that as a collaboration between the private sector and our government, we've done incredible things in downtown. And I think if we look back at where we were 20 years ago, we wouldn't recognize it. I don't think it's bad that sometimes people leave, because it gives them the opportunity to come back and bring something new to our market. So sometimes them leaving isn't a negative thing. Sometimes that means that their next startup's going to be here. I think one of the questions is, how do we incentivize people to come back, rather than just not, how do we incentivize them not to leave? Leave, get your experience, go to some of the best restaurants in the world, and then come back and do it here. Because if you don't leave, you're not going to be able to grow also. We can only offer you so much here. So it's not a negative if we find how to bring them back.
So okay. But I don't want to let that go, because that question is my jam. That our word, I'm like chomping. We have the answer to that. We do have data on that. And actually, one of the, I think especially for small businesses, a really great strategy to contribute and to prevent the brain drain. We have a lot of students. We have a great educational system. And if we can provide work-based learning opportunities to students, there are so many students that are working, but they're not working in their field of study. Here in the community, our students are also working in a part-time job. If we can look at certain occupations or positions in your business and hire, split them up, create part-time positions, work-based learning opportunities for students so that if they are in accounting or if they are in IT or if they are in automotive, having a few hours, a part-time job during the week that they can apply those skills and get a work experience as early as possible, that helps cement them into the community. That helps them stay in the community, be a part of your organization and a part of your culture, a belonging into this community, and that helps us keep our talent in the community. So that was just one of my tips. But thank you all, panel, for a great conversation. Thank the Hispanic Chamber for a great event today. Thank you all for your time. Thank you.
All righty, everyone. We have